Welcome to the Daily Fox Fuel, where we train kingdom-minded creatives, leaders, and builders to become highly skilled craftsmen. Each episode is your spark of strategy, scripture, and straight-up truth to help you walk out your calling with excellence. Now let's get to work. Yo, what's up, crew? Diving right in today around this idea of questions and how I believe that your questions are shaping your future. Now, hear me out. The questions that you ask, I believe, set and determine the life that you're trying to build. Now, thinking through this from a big scale, from a macro to a micro scale, right? Small questions, in my opinion, lead to small outcomes, but bold questions lead to bold growth. I've seen this a lot in different meetings I'm in, different people I get to have the pleasure of advising or even coaching and just talking to with clients, of just trying to get down to how they think, how they process, what their goals are, what they're trying to achieve. And oftentimes it's the questions that we're afraid to ask the most are the ones that kind of lead us in the direction that we really need to be in. And I think oftentimes as I look back over my life of just being in some of those rooms where it is scary to ask a question. And there's times and places, right? Sometimes you're invited to the room to listen. And then there's times when you're invited to the room to speak. And I think if you're there and you know you're there, you've been invited into the space to speak and ask questions, then you should. And you should ask good questions. You should ask the questions that lead to the bigger outcome, right? You should be a help to people. And I think oftentimes when you look at wisdom and you think of people maybe in your life who you're like, man, that person's just so wise. Oftentimes it's them doing the thing that Proverbs 20 verse 5 speaks about. The answers are within you. They are just pulling out of the well what we're looking for, right? They're able to ask the questions that make us think a little bit differently. It causes our perspectives to shift just ever so slightly to understand the world around us better, to understand God better. I think if we're not asking questions, we're becoming complacent and stagnant in our own belief systems, the things that we might have been raised on, the things that we see as our own perspectives as though they are the right perspective, which, newsflash, there's not a lot of things that are, there are things that are right and wrong in this world, but a lot of times preferences don't dictate right or wrong. I know that's a little bit of a hot take for some people out there, but back to the point. Tony Robbins said that successful people ask better questions, and as a result, they get better answers. And scripture shows us the exact same thing. Solomon didn't ask for wealth or fame, and I love that he asked for wisdom. That one request reshaped his entire destiny. If you want to go look at it, it's 1 Kings chapter 3. But that whole idea of asking for wisdom, and that's something I pray for now personally, is like, hey, everything else will come as a result of having wisdom. I want God level wisdom. I want God's level of wisdom and insight into the situations, into the day that I'm facing, into the people I'm interacting with. What is the wisdom I can have? That's what sets everything else apart, because everything else is just a Band-Aid. But if I could have the wisdom to make the right choices, to set the right pace, to lead people well, that's long lasting. That's more than more than something being given to me, but rather something that can be throughout my lifetime, something that I can even pass on to others. Ask for wisdom while you're praying. Just change that entire approach. And leaders aren't the ones with all the answers. And I think sometimes we as leaders get caught up into that, like, oh, I'm supposed to have all the answers. No. The thing about a leader is a leader just knows how to find the answer. Leaders don't know everything. They know how to find what they need. They're the ones who are resourceful enough to figure it out. They're the ones that ask the right questions. Leaders are the ones helping to pull out of the well of knowledge, right? They're trying to understand more. They're humble enough to ask questions. Many of us are too prideful, too egotistical to stop and ask for help or ask how to do something because we're too afraid of what I might look like, what the rejection might look like. And that, I think, as a leader is just, you need to have humility, ask the right questions. So today I'm going to challenge you. What's one better question you need to start asking? something you need to ask of yourself, of your spouse, of your future spouse, of the team you're leading, of your friends, of God. What's one better question you could start asking as you start down this new path of having bold questions leading to bolder growth? Hey crew, before you jet, make sure you share this episode with a friend and leave us a rating. Thanks for tuning in today, and remember, stay Foxy.